Hello, and welcome to this week's Beer of the Week Drink Along. I'm Luke, and this week we're drinking a beer from North End, which is a Saison made with pear juice. Lost Orchard is... Sorry, you'll notice I'm like being a bit careful opening these cans. North End cans are often, well, always in fact, overfilled. Well, there's no way to overfill a can, of course, because it's just... well, you can't overfill a can. Anyway, Kieran, who's the wonderful brewer at North End, likes to ensure that there's absolutely no oxygen in his beer. So unique amongst all the brewers in New Zealand, he fills them right to the brim, so you always get a little bit of beer on your hands when you open a North End beer. But that's okay, because it's just lovely organic products, and it's probably great for your skin. In fact, in Bavaria, they have spas where you can take a bath in beer. So you should be grateful every time you get a little bit of North End beer on your fingers. This is a Saison, which is, it's a beer style that's kind of impossible to define. Saison comes from the French word season, and it's a style that has been brewed in Northern Europe historically for many, many centuries, in France and in Belgium, especially Wallonia. And it's a farmhouse ale, which was a beer brewed in farmhouses for the farm workers, and it was brewed with the seasons, and so from the grain that they grow on their farms, so a lot of wheat, but also barley, and locally procured hops. So the Saison style is not one of those styles that has a set guideline and standards to it, where you can really be pernickety as to whether it's accurate or not accurate, because from one farm to the next, in the 16th century, the beers would have been extremely different. But I suppose what the beers do have in common is that they all have a beautiful yeast character. So you get really interesting phenols and esters from the yeast. That's when you get character that's sort of like pear drops, or like just a really nice sort of a prickly spiciness or black pepper. And Saisons are made with wheat as well, which gives the beer a bit more body, a bit more mouthfeel. It just makes it a really nice, satisfying beer to drink and really slake your thirst. And you can really imagine sort of authentic, well, as I say, there's no such thing as an authentic Saison, but a Saison such as this one, just been a fantastic thing to drink a few litres of after you've been working and toiling in the hot fields. And that's something I really like about North End and Kieran, the head brewer's approach to making beers. He's really inspired by Europe and by historic beers. And I've been having conversations with friends recently about the current beer trends and modern beer, and has beer jumped the shark, and what is interesting, are people excited about beer anymore? And I suppose that a lot of the beers that we see that are on the market are hazy pale ales, IPAs, and that's because that's what people buy, and it's what people want to drink. So you can't blame the brewers for making beer styles that their customers want to buy. That is economics, that is business. You know, these brewers are in business. They can't just brew things and then not sell them to anybody. So unfortunately, because of that, well, unfortunately for me and probably people like you that are watching this, that are interested in different beer styles, there's a massive, massive overrepresentation with pale ales, IPAs and lager type beers because they're popular. So what I love about North End is that Kieran, like myself, is into interesting styles. So they will always have beers like grisettes and like dry stouts. One of the favourite beers, my favourite beers that they do is Pit Boss, which is a smoked doppelbock, which is really fantastic. And I suppose divisive beers, and that's the nice thing when something is divisive, that it's not for everybody. People love it or people hate it, whereas a lot of middle-of-the-road lagers are just that they're okay to everybody. No one necessarily loves it, no one necessarily hates it. So yeah, a beer like this Saison, and this is part of their trilogy. So this is the second year that they brewed this trilogy. So the other one is made with herbs, and the other one was with hops. So this is the pear variety that we decided to put in the box because we just thought it'd be interesting to put a a pear-based beer in the drink, pear-based beer, sorry, in the box. I think in all the years, and we are getting on for 9 years of Beer Jerk Beer of the Weeks now, which every single week we've drank a different beer. I'll leave it for you to do the calculations of 52 weeks times 8 3/4. But we've never had a pear-inspired beer before, and pears are absolutely delicious. I noticed there's a little note on the can that says pears for the airs, and that is quite a traditional countryside saying, that you plant pear trees for your heirs. Because if you plant a pear tree, it's not going to be putting off good pears in the next 10 years or 20 years. It is something for your children and your grandchildren to enjoy. And that's the story behind this beer, that it's a lost orchard, hence the name. And it was saved from the chainsaw a few years ago. It's on a farm, and no one was really bothered about the pears. They weren't really harvested. And it was going to be knocked down or chainsawed down until one of the owners decided to rescue it and keep these beautiful heritage pears, which is really in fitting with the North End approach to beer and kind of everything really. So a pear cider is called a perry, which is another really delicious drink that you don't see much of, even in England, but especially not in New Zealand. Peckhams do a fantastic pear cider. Okay, part 2. Hopefully this one works okay. I recorded the video yesterday just before I was going into the event with Mount Brewing, the dessert and beer pairings, and seems like the camera cut off and stopped recording. So last night after I got home after the event, I went to edit the video and realised only half of it was on there. So apologies for the late video and late sending of the newsletter. I'm now drinking coffee. I did finish the can of the pear saison, and it was delightful. I was probably last talking about pears, and yeah, as this is part of a trilogy of beers, the pear one's quite a clever addition, adding pear juice to the beer, because the flavour of pears is, I think it's called isamyl acetate, which is the chemical compound that makes pear drops taste so pungent, and obviously it's in pears, and it's in the esters that you get when you have the unique yeast characteristics of this saison yeast. So yeah, complements it nicely having that pear juice in there with the with the saison yeast. And so pear flavours always remind me of when I was 17. I joined the Royal Air Force, and during basic training, you do a lot of practice putting on respirators, gas masks, and preparing for all that awful warfare sort of stuff. So to check that your respirator was properly fitted around your face, your instructors would puff this sort of acetate bottles that smell so strongly of pear drops. So if you couldn't smell anything, then your respirator was working, and you would survive whatever mustard gas attack you may find yourself in. Anyway, I think I was maybe mentioned about North End having a real proclivity towards high quality ingredients. And that's the thing that I feel pretty strongly about. That in the world of craft beers, there are often so many interesting adjuncts that people put in beers. And it's exactly the same as how a chef might approach a dish. You can add some E-numbers and food colorings and laboratory type ingredients, or you can use real high quality ingredients. And there are definitely a lot of breweries around the world. They just pour in bags of God knows what into their beers to make their beer taste like a lemon meringue or whatever that adjunct might be. And there are a lot of other brewers that use high quality vanilla or cacao nibs, or in this case, pears that are taken from an orchard that also grows the berries that are used in a lot of North End beers. And I think earlier I mentioned the Pit Boss, which is a smoked doppelbock. And the smoked malt from that beer is it's partially smoked at North End's restaurant. So at the brewery, it's attached to the Smoke and Wood restaurant, which is it's a meat lover's paradise, really. Just all manner of delicious things relating to meat happen there, including smoking. So they have this big smoker for their brisket and sort of barbecue type preparations, and they smoke their own malt there to sort of echo the beers of Bamberg. So yeah, that's a really fantastic beer, but yeah, really lovely approach to just authentic quality ingredients that go into beers that, yeah, it's, for me certainly, I can taste it in the resultant beers, and I hope that you guys drinking along also notice that difference between yeah, products that are made with artificial ingredients and flavourings versus real quality ingredients. So yeah, great beer, good work Kieran, good work North End, and if you're watching along and would like to drink more of this beer, or in fact more of any other good beers at a great price, you might want to have a look at Text Beer. I started Text Beer a year or so ago as a way for people to get great beer at a great price, shipped directly from the brewery in most cases. So the way Text Beer works is you go to the Text Beer website, you put in all your details there, it takes less than a minute, and once or twice a week you receive an SMS with a fantastic beer deal. And if you want the beer, you reply yes, and the beer turns up at your house and will work the next day. So we do really great beers, and it's generally slab deals, so it's 12 packs or 24 packs of one beer. So if you are signed up to Text Beer, you may see Lost Orchard popping up at some point soon. And various other, yeah, as I say, really cool beers at a great price. And we can do it at a great price because it's really easy for everyone to do. So for the breweries, for them, they benefit from selling a real good volume of one beer in one day. They just slap the stickers on and it's out the door. So yeah, great way to stock up on some brilliant beers. And the reason I didn't check my footage last night, I just sort of closed my camera and dashed off to go and start the event, was it's Auckland Beer Week here. So we're getting towards the tail end, it's Thursday. And there's a few more cool events happening. So you sadly missed that brilliant event with Mount. So I won't tell you any more about it really, other than it was absolutely delicious. And sorry you missed it, but next time, get off your ass and come out to these cool events that people all around Auckland are putting on. So the last couple of things we've got happening are on Friday night is the Pineapple Party. So in Mangawhai, there's Pacific Coast Brewing Company, which is where our great friend Matt now works, and they make a lovely kettle sour with pineapple. And we just had the idea that it would be fun to do a pineapple party. So Friday after work, come along. Matt and Joe have curated a couple of really cool beer-based cocktails that are going to be really unique, really interesting. And it's bloody cold here at the moment, so we're just going to be in denial and have a tropical party. So put on a Hawaiian shirt, listen to some tropical island vibe music here, and try a couple of these really good beer cocktails. We will have the heaters cranking, and hopefully there'll be lots of bodies here to keep the place warm. And then on Saturday afternoon, we're doing the Beer Mile Olympics. Which is not especially beer focused. I wanted to put together an event that isn't just for beer geeks like us, but for normal people that might just want to go out and have a nice time and maybe sink a few beers as well. So the Auckland Beer Mile is another thing that I started God, 2 or 3 years ago actually, when I realised that there were so many fantastic breweries and beer focused venues along Kingsland and Eden Terrace and down into Morningside. So there are 7 venues. There's Brothers around the corner, there's Galbraith, there's here the Fridge and Flagon, then there's down to Churley's, the Behemoth Bar, there is Garage Projects nearby, then down to Urban Ort, and finally 605, which is a really cool sort of late night dive bar. So the Beer Mile Olympics, I've strong-armed all of the venues into having a sport for the afternoon. So get your mates together and turn up at any venue, you can get a little scorecard and keep score. You're going to challenge your mates to a whole bunch of games. So here at the Fridge and Flagon, we're setting up the Nintendo Lounge, and we're going to have a Super Mario Kart tournament on the SNES. So you can challenge your mates to supremacy at that. Down at Urban Ort, they've built a little one-hole putting green. So there's a little golf course you can challenge your mates at. Churley's, they're doing giant Jenga. Galbraith's obviously is darts, and you've got stuff happening at all of the venues. So Saturday afternoon is going to be a really fun time. Well, thanks again for joining us. I will see you next week. I'm going to quickly edit this video and get it in the email to get it out to all you wonderful people. Thanks for joining. Cheers.